Hey, what's going on, sports fans? Hopefully, you're having a great day. I just wanted to come before you and talk about this, news that we got about Joe Mazzulla. So, the Celtics just wrapped up their All Star first half, basically, even though they've played, what, 59 games? You know how the NBA is, it's really weird about that. But Joe Mazzulla went into this year with the interim tag because we know the offseason that the Celtics had with Ime Udoka and everything that happened with all of that. So Mazzulla was put into an interesting situation, having to now lead the team, coming off the back of the successful year Udoka had last year. But there's a lot of talk about would he, I guess, receive the job? Is the 1 year suspension for Udoka just, uh, I guess, like a stepping stool to him returning to the position next season? A lot of people thought about it the same way I did. Didn't really see Udoka coaching the Celtics again because of everything that went on. But but Mazzulla was kind of auditioning for it, which ultimately probably was a situation. We learned today that he's losing the interim tag, so he's now officially the head coach. He also got an extension as well, so I feel like that's an important part of the story as well. I think it's well deserved. The Celtics have the best record in the NBA. They have the third best rated offense. They have the fifth best rated defense. As I read, that's they're the only team in the top five in both categories. That speaks to Mazzulla, sorry, coaching style. A lot of people have been talking about his use or lack of use in terms of timeouts. But if you ask the players, they like his approach to that. They like that he trusts them to, dig themselves out of holes or whatever. If a team's going on a 10, 15-0 run or something like that, he doesn't just quickly jump off the bench, call a timeout, and try to calm things down. He lets them figure it out because I feel like in Mazzulla's eyes and in the team's eyes later on in the season, that will work dividends for them. Because necessarily, if a coach calls a timeout to try to calm things down and I guess regroup the team, it may not necessarily work anyway. So yes, there's been games where I've seen fans frustrated by it, but the players like it, and this is Mazzulla's coaching style, then you can't really say anything bad against it so far. They're 42-17, so clearly something's working. I do like the fact that he's kept to him, kept I guess true to his coaching style because for a first time guy, he's only 34 years old. He could have tried this way early in the season, but if he heard a lot of people, I guess, kind of getting on him about it, he could have changed his way. Like I said, he stuck to it. And if you look at it, in certain games, it's kind of worked to his benefit keeping those timeouts because we see a lot of coaches who burn through timeouts in certain situations, then they get late into the game and they have like one or two to work with. I've seen games with late game situations and Mazzulla has like 4 or 5 timeouts left. So I believe in that case, it's definitely been a big benefit. Also, think for him, being new to all of this, creating that trust with the team was big for him. Because we know, I mean, if you don't know, Mazzulla was a player at like West Virginia. If you look at his West Virginia playing days, I mean, not like it was like 50 years ago. Like I said, he's only 34, but his playing style would have been perfect for the city of Boston. He was tough, hard nosed, he was a point guard. He was kind of like Marcus Smart esque. I feel like he's bringing that to his coaching style, which I really like. So I'm glad he's getting the job. Glad he got the extension as well. Don't know how long the extension is. I'm interested to see what that is. Is it like a 3 year deal? Is it 5 years or something like that? So it's good to know that he's going to be locked into that position. Looking at from the other side, Udoka. What does this mean for him? It means that he and the team clearly behind closed doors worked out a, I guess, mutual parting of ways or whatever. Like I said earlier, there was no shot of him returning to coaching this team. Not with the accusations and all that. It would have been too awkward for him to then return a year later with some of the same individuals who may have been wrapped up in the story still there. Would have been weird. And if the team didn't play well, the story would just get rehashed over and over and over again. Because we know how the NBA media, we know how the media is. So I feel like because of that, the Celtics, I don't think, wanted to put themselves back into that situation. I do think the question is going to have to be asked. Does Udoka get another head coaching job next season? We know that some coaches will get fired, looking at some of these underperforming teams, like, I don't know, Detroit. Could we see Dwayne Casey get moved on from? Possibly. Steve Clifford in Charlotte? Possibly. So one of these, bottom dwelling teams, I guess, if one of them were to move on from their coach, would Udoka get an opportunity in some of those situations? Possibly. He is a good coach. There's no denying that. It's just the accusations and stuff might have some teams apprehensive in terms of hiring him because, we're dealing with an NBA world where we're seeing more and more women involved with these teams. So if it's a situation where, like I said, the accusations with him getting involved with female staffers and all that, could that create awkward work environments if you were to go somewhere else? That's going to be something that we definitely have to see. I guess next season, well, if they part ways now, he technically could sign on somewhere. I don't know what he'd get signed on to at this point in the season, but technically it could happen. So I'm interested to see if Udoka gets another opportunity. But like I said, I feel like the hiring of Mazzulla, removing the interim tag, was the right decision. Even the timing of it, this is probably something the Celtics wanted to announce before, but they waited for the All-Star break. Fine. I'm okay with that. Especially coming off of this past week where they've been down 3, sometimes 4 key rotation players. And we saw the other night they hung with a pretty much fully healthy Bucks squad. They were down Bobby Portis, of course. Jay Crowder also. But they took that team to overtime. They then, on a second night of a back-to-back, flying back to Boston, they beat Detroit. They beat Philly when they were down, I think, 3 guys. So the team's playing well. The team seems to like him. He seems like he's like 100% locked on all the time because I've seen some of the pre-game, post-game interviews with him. It's very straight, very direct. Doesn't usually waste words. It can create some awkward interactions with the media, but I mean, like what do we care about that? Look at Popovich. He's short with his answers at times. Maybe Mazzulla, as he gets more accustomed to the role, maybe he opens up a little bit more. I don't know, but I'm not gonna kill him for that. Now, I did want to touch on one last thing for wrap it up here. Looking at the Celtics, though, with the best record in the NBA going into the All-Star break, I did see a stat that I found interesting. So this was looking at the past 10 seasons. The teams that have gone into the All-Star break with the best record, only 2 out of the 10 actually went on to win the title. I mean, you could probably guess which team it was. There's a hint. It was the same team that did it twice. The Warriors. They're in that run where they went to three straight finals. They were the only team to do it and actually win it. And they were also the only team to get to the finals. So only 3 out of the 10 made the finals. All 3 teams were those Warriors teams. So there's been a few teams that have made conference finals, but it's no guarantee that they're gonna, make it to the NBA finals, and definitely not a guarantee that they'll win it. So, looking at the East going into the All-Star break, Milwaukee's gonna be there. There are some people who want to throw Philly in that group. I have made it known I'm not doing that. I've seen this Philly team, especially with Embiid. Now the pieces around him are a little different, so maybe it's different, but they need to show me in the playoffs that they can, put together a couple of series wins before I think about them. But outside of that, the East gets interesting because you have Cleveland, you have New York. I feel like there's an obvious team in the East. Oh, okay, so Brooklyn. That's the team I want to say, but Brooklyn, they dealt away KD and Kyrie. What does that mean for their chances? Does this new group of guys put it together, catch lightning in a bottle, go on a magical run? Is it possible? Sure. I mean, Mikal Bridges scored, 46, 45 or something last night? So Brooklyn's going to be an interesting team to see. But the East has a lot of depth to it. It's just, within that depth, which teams do you trust to make it out of the East? So right now, I'd say it's probably still Celtics and Bucks for me. But I wouldn't be surprised if any number of 4 or 5 teams make it through. So definitely we'll get to see once we get through this All-Star break, what the Celtics team can do down the stretch. Because at 42-17, you're looking at 23 games left once you get out of the break. So now we're kind of in sprint mode to the season, and Milwaukee's hanging right there with them. So we'll see if the Celtics can finish the season off and get that number 1 seed. But yeah, so I'll leave you with this. Once again, Joe Mazzulla loses the interim tag. He is now the head coach of the Boston Celtics. He got an extension. We just don't know how many years yet. 34-year-old, which I have to believe would make him probably the youngest coach in the league. I know Will Hardy's pretty young, who's the coach out in Utah. I'd have to double check that, but I think Mazzulla might be the youngest one. Also, one fact I left out. Imagine this for an opening year as your coach, for your coaching profile. You're leading the team to the best record into the All-Star break. He's also going to be the coach for Team Giannis in the All-Star game. Pretty big honors. So, it's been a great year for Mazzulla. It's going to continue to be so with this extension. Like I said, I'm happy for it. But definitely let me know what you think down in the comment section. Do you agree with him getting the job? Were you one of those who was hoping Udoka might get the job again next season? Like I said, let me know. I will definitely respond to your comments and we can interact down there. I've done live streams recently, so it's good to do a little episode like this. But the live streams will return. Don't worry about that. So appreciate it, guys. Love that you tune in. Seen some channel growth. Appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. But you know what to do with this video. Like button, subscribe, share it as well. But appreciate it. Hopefully you have a great day. And I'll see you in the next episode. All right.